the 7th episode of Taste Buds. I'm Sinan.
And I'm Ralph.
Today we're going to be making a Turkish dessert called Sekerpare, or in English, otherwise known as a Turkish sugar cookie dipped in sugar sauce. Now the first thing we're going to make is the actual sauce. What we're going to need is 2 cups of water and 2 cups of sugar. You're going to add the sugar into the water, mix it up a bit, and you're going to boil the sugar water. Now as that's cooking, we're going to start making the actual dough of the sugar cookie. And the first thing we're going to need is 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. This was melted in the microwave under the defrost mode. So we're going to add that as our first ingredient to the dough. Now it's very important when you're making sekerpare, the order of the ingredients. If you don't add these ingredients in the exact order, the dough is going to come out different and the cookie is going to taste different, and we don't want that. So the next thing we're going to add is 1/2 cup of sugar. Now sometimes you want to use powdered sugar. Powdered sugar could be preferable because it's easier to stir. We're using just normal table sugar. And you want to start stirring that. Next thing we want to add is 2 eggs, lightly beaten with a pinch of salt. The next thing we're going to add is 2 cups of sifted white flour. What we're gonna do to the flour is we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of European vanilla. It's European because it's actually a powder instead of a liquid. You could use liquid vanilla if you wanted, but powder is easier to mix into the flour. And we also have 5 teaspoons of baking powder. So we're gonna add that to the flour. I'm gonna mix that up with the flour. Every time you add, you want to start stirring. You're gonna add flour until the mixture is doughy, but the dough is gonna be very oily. You're gonna see it's not gonna be dry. What you want is eventually it's not gonna stick to your hands when you start kneading the dough. As Ralph is adding that, I'm gonna go check on the sugar water. It's not boiling yet, but what we want to do is we want to start stirring. Because when you stir the sugar water, it's going to avoid crystallization. Check back on the sauce. You can see now it's boiling. There are bubbles. And you can see that there's no sugar in the bottom of the pan. That's good. We don't want a separated solution. We want this to be one uniform sauce. So I'm going to stir a little bit more. Let it boil for about a minute or so. You can see it's becoming even more doughy than before with the addition of the flour. So now that it has boiled for about a minute or so, we're going to take it off the heat and we're going to let it cool at room temperature. So they're on this towel. You see Ralph's progress with the dough.
And since it's not pouring over to the sides anymore of the bowl, it's a sure indication that it's ready to be kneaded. So now if you'd like to test it.
That is good. It's not sticking to my hand at all. Almost.
Perfect.
All right, so what we want to start doing is we're going to get rid of the spoon, and Ralph is going to get down and dirty and knead the dough with his hands. If you want, you can have some flour for your hands to avoid sticking, if anything. So what I'm going to do, I put some flour on my hands to avoid any sticking. I'm going to take a piece of dough, I'm going to roll it into a sphere and flatten it a bit. And put it on a non-stick pan. You want to spread them apart because they're gonna rise when they're in the oven, so you don't want them to stick to one another. You have a preheated oven, 325 degrees, and we're gonna put this in the middle rack. And we're gonna let it cook for about 20 to 25 minutes.
See ya.
I got nothing else. We've taken the sugar sauce and we've put it in this pan. As you can see, it's pretty deep. So what we're gonna do eventually is we're gonna take the cookies out of the oven and we're gonna dip them into the sauce. Now the cookies, which I will show you right now, in their cooked state. They did get bigger and they did stick to each other. That's fine though. Just gonna close up the oven. Now what we're gonna want to do now, use a spatula. We're gonna take a cookie
And submerge them in this.
So you're gonna wanna use a spoon. You can pick it up and put it on top of the cookie. You can flip the cookie. You just wanna make sure that every part of the cookie is covered in the sauce. Now the cookies are acting as a sort of a sponge. They're gonna absorb all of the sauce. And after that, you can just enjoy.
Excellent.
I like the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And the sugar sauce.
Okay, well.
Thank you for joining us on the 7th episode of Taste Buds. I'm Sinan.
And I'm Ralph.
Bye.
See you next time.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, absolutely.
Head on over to shudderproductions.com/tastebuds, where you can watch this episode and others right in your web browser. You can also take a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into the making of the show. Remember, that's shudderproductions.com/tastebuds. Thanks for watching.